Dark Avenger C86, the channel where I finally struck out on my own and did my own thing finally. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to 52 videos in 52 weeks. Finally on time. Part 2 of 2 of my journey through YouTube. Last part, I talked about Brooklyn Boys 13. Had a really powerful ending. Powerful, and talked about my brother a little bit. So if you missed out on that, it literally was only posted a few days ago. Go check it out. I really feel like I poured a lot of emotion out on that one. A lot of stuff I've held in for a while. But now we're here talking about what you're watching here, Dark Avenger. Dark Avenger was a channel that I created because everybody over on the Brooklyn Boys channel, all of our viewers like, Chris, you need your own channel. You need to have your own solo thing that you do. Mike does video games. Kevin does video games. What about you? And it's like, I didn't want to do a gaming channel. I thought about it. I had created Brooklyn Boys BBZ 13 Gaming, which I forgot to mention in the last video. So I guess a little Brooklyn Boys entry real quick. We did make another channel. We did call it Brooklyn BBZ 13 Gaming. It was our gaming channel. So with BBZ 13 Gaming in existence at that time, didn't want to make another gaming channel. So we had Brooklyn Boys BBZ 13 Gaming. And then I said, what do I like? What do I love? What am I passionate about? And I said it was comic books. And that's when I said, okay, let's do a comic review channel. Let me try media. Why not? I've done everything else. I've even done unboxings. Let's try media. So Dark Avenger C86 was created because somebody already owned Dark Avenger, and obviously Marvel had the Dark Avengers comic. I didn't know that at the time, but anyway, created the channel, made the trailer, made the little teaser at the beginning, which I connected to Brooklyn Boys, and then we went off. And of course, the first thing I did on the channel, what I just said I didn't want to do, gaming. The very first video series I did on Dark Avenger C86 was a walkthrough of the Ghostbusters video game. That's right, I actually did a walkthrough from start to finish of the Ghostbusters game. What I said I didn't want to do, I ended up doing. But Ghostbusters had a comic book eventually. So, I mean, I'm really grasping at straws here, but it was a way to start. And then once I finished Ghostbusters, I finally began the Dark Avenger comic book review. The series where I talked about every single book I read in whatever week it was. And when I started that comic review series, I was holding on to maybe 7 or 8 books a week. No. Maybe about 4 or 5 books a week. It was very short. It was very small. And what was going on was Blackest Night. Literally, the timing couldn't have been better. Blackest Night literally had just started. So it gave me the opportunity to not only review just Superman, because I was really mainly Superman and Ultimate Spider-Man, but it allowed me to add had Superman and Spider-Man. It allowed me to add Green Lantern, Justice League, and then of course with all the stuff going on in Marvel and DC, I started adding more and more books. And at that time, I was ordering my books from Midtown. So as I was doing the reviews, I started doing a series called the Haul Series, which is a series I did where when I got my books in the mail, I'd open the box on camera and show off the books I was going to be reviewing in the next episode. So then we had the review, we had the hauls, and then finally, after quite some time of doing just that, and then I did some unboxings, I did some movie reviews, whether the straight-to-DVD ones, the movie ones. Finally, after I believe 100 reviews, and we celebrated that, it took 2 years because there's 52 weeks in a year, so it took 2 years, minus 4 weeks, minus 1 month. It took 2 years to get to that point. That's when Dark Avenger Live started. Dark Avenger Live was the live show that started it all, because originally it was just Mike and I going live talking about comic news, comic books, everything, anything, whatever. It was the Dark Avenger version of the 360 over on Brooklyn Boys, where we got together with live people and talked about what was going on in the comic book industry, what was going on with our comics, what was going on, how we were feeling about certain things, whatever. And then friends started joining. I started inviting other people over to Dark Avenger Live, and that's when I had this want to make a comic book group like Brooklyn Boys. And I did create a channel, a very short time. It was called Comic Community Central, CCC, Triple C. And I brought every single person I knew in the comic community at the time, because I was actually at almost the start of the comic community on YouTube. I believe I was considered towards the end of Gen 1 comic reviewers. So I was like, okay, I'm towards the end of Generation 1. I was part of the beginning. So I got everybody together and we tried to do a channel. It unfortunately didn't work. Times collided. People didn't want to do videos. I didn't have any requirements. It was just, you could join, here's the password, put a video up whenever you want. In hindsight, that was also very dangerous, because anyone and anyone can destroy the channel if they wanted to. Now, I'm not saying they would, because everybody in the community at the time were wonderful people and nobody would do that, but nowadays you have no clue. So Comic Community Central unfortunately failed. There was no goals, there was no rules, there was no requirement to put videos up. So nobody did. And the channel disappeared and fell in. It's still out there somewhere. There are still videos on it, but it just was done. It was my first attempt, and it was a failed one. Then I finally decided to make another group and set some ground rules. A video a week plus the live show. Well, the live show was a given, but one video a week. I think it was 1 or 2 videos a week. And I called it Dark Avenger Inc. I connected it to my channel. I could give people the creator role, which would allow them to upload videos and delete their videos, but not touch anything else. And that's when I got together with some people that I would consider super close friends, like family. That was when I got together with Mike Spider Slayer, Cat Comic Uno, Brandt, who is now doing Only Good Comics. Originally back then, he was just Brandt Fowler. And then other people came and went in the group. We had other members that would be there. At the start, there was a couple that was with us, and then they left. And then we had another person come on from another community, and he left. And then we had other people come in, and unfortunately left as well for one reason or another. But Dark Avenger Inc. eventually evolved into Comic Frontline, because I didn't want people to follow my name. I wanted it to have its own feel to it. I wanted it to become its own website, possibly. And it became its own channel. And then things started to change. And that's when the life stuff that I mentioned happened during Brooklyn Boys End happened towards Dark Avenger. And the thing was, and this was where things started to get a little muddy for me, because I was working very hard. I wanted Comic Frontline to be the best it could be. I wanted it to become a competitive, be able to compete with the other comic book websites. So I wanted to put as much content as I could on there. So Dark Avenger started to take the hit for that. Originally I moved my comic reviews over to Comic Frontline for a little while, and then I said, no, I'm going to keep the reviews on Dark Avenger at least. So I moved them back. But then anything else I did on Comic Frontline. And that took a lot away from Dark Avenger. And then during that time, I'm like, well, I'm doing all this comic stuff on Comic Frontline. What am I going to do with Dark Avenger? And that's when the problems started on DarkAvengerC86, because it went from a comic review channel to an everything channel. I literally had a bunch of different series I was going to do on DarkAvengerC86. And it became like an everything channel. Then I changed the channel name to my name. I just made it into my name for a time. And then I was like, this isn't working. I don't want it as a personal channel. I don't want it as an everything channel. It worked best as comic books. So it finally reverted back. I actually have a whole 3-part series where I went from Dark Avenger to my name, back finally to Dark Avenger. But during all of that confusion, all those different series, all the things I was going to start up, the channel rebrand, the unrebrand, that was where the channel finally, it took a lot of the viewers, I'm sure it took a toll on them, because it's like, well, what are you? And I even, towards the rebranding, the undo of the rebranding, was like, well, who the hell am I? And it's like, I'm the Dark Avenger. This channel was meant to be a comic review channel. This channel was meant for comic books, news, reviews, and more. The and more did involve video games and comic related movies and stuff like that. But it didn't mean to go throw everything out, throw everything into the channel. So I reverted back to Dark Avenger, and started things up again. Everything was great. I finally hit my 500th Dark Avenger comic book review. And that's where I started to question, do I want to keep this up? Now, my goal for the comic review is to go to episode 1,000 and beyond. And a few people were like, that is a very ambitious goal. It's realistic. You can try for it. And to be honest, I'd be halfway there. I would be halfway towards 1,000. I'd be at 1,000. I would be at, I think, 700 or something by now if I would have continued from 500. But after hearing a lot of people from all different parts of the spectrum's input, I decided, stupidly, to end the series at 500. Looking back, I wish I would have done the opposite. I wish I would have continued. I wish I wouldn't have stopped, because it's easy to stop, but getting started up again has been the hardest thing for me because, well, truth be told, stuff happened. After 500, I did continue the channel. I did continue talking about comic books a bit. But then something in my life, my personal life, happened. And that took me away fully from YouTube for several years. Now, I did try to stick around. I did try to put a video up here, there, or everywhere. I did try to do live shows. I was still on Twitch as well. And by the way, I did create a Twitch, which originally was called Dark Avenger Gaming. I switched it to Chaotic Falcon 86, which is what it is now. But I did try to stay around as much as possible. But from 2020 up until present day, up until this year, I have been trying to get the channel started again multiple times. However, end of 2020 and 2021, I would like to think those were the lost years. Those were the hardest years. And those are the years where I feel I was the most quiet. And that was due to a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. Stuff I'm not going to talk about here, obviously. But because of that personal stuff, because of all that stuff going on, I was unable to do videos. I was unable to do live shows. I ended up leaving Comic Frontline, evolved into Comic Book Weekly, which was just a podcast or a vidcast that turned into a podcast. Videos stopped on Comic Frontline. So now Comic Frontline is literally just Comic Book Weekly, a once-a-week show. And then everybody else kind of went back to their individual channels, and all the content went to all of our individual channels again. But I ended up leaving the show. I ended up leaving what was Frontline Live, then evolved into Comic Book Weekly. I ended up leaving. And I disappeared off of YouTube for a while because I had to. Because life. Life definitely took its toll. And it took me away from YouTube. And it was in 2021 that I had to really sit down with myself and go, okay, poor DarkAvengerC86, that channel has gone through a storm and a half with the rebranding, with the adding of so many series and then taking away of so many series, then the ending of the comic review and then undoing that, the amount of I'm back videos that then, because life ended up hitting me hard again, ended up taking me away again. What are we doing here? What's going on? And that's when I made the Dark Avenger Direct, which was where I sat down and said, this is what I want to do with the channel. And that's when this channel was created, Dark Avenger Entertainment, because I did still want to do all the things. There were certain things I wanted to do on Dark Avenger C86, but it wouldn't fit because it was a media channel. So I said, okay, let's make a network then. So we had Dark Avenger C86, which now is called Dark Avenger Media. I decided to change the name a little bit to Dark Avenger Media. So all of my media stuff goes on there. I created Dark Avenger Entertainment, which is this channel, which is where everything else goes that isn't reviews or stuff like that. And then we also have What the Card, which is a channel I started that was connected to Comic Frontline, which no longer is Comic Frontline. It's just the podcast show. So now I took What the Card, which is a card opening channel I started with my brother. And I'm not looking to do a lot on there, but from time to time, if something comes out or if something catches my interest, Pokemon or Magic related, I'll do some videos on there. I do have a bunch of videos actually recorded for Magic. Those will be going up on What the Card slowly in the coming months. But I brought What the Card in. And now I also have Dark Avenger Gaming, a Let's Play channel I created for gaming. So I created a network with Dark Avenger, and I've kind of covered all the bases of things I love doing. Gaming, Dark Avenger Gaming, skits, videos like 360s and stuff, what we're doing here for Dark Avenger Entertainment, and then the reviews. Because I will say that 501 through now, which I believe we're at 520 something, it's been rough. It has been anything but consistent, and I hate it. Believe me, as much as I'm sure everyone watching is like, what the hell's going on? You went from 2021, now the next episode was 2023. What? Believe me, as frustrated as all of you are, is as frustrated as I am. I want to get things back on track, and that's the goal for 2025. That's the goal with 52. That's the goal with getting started on YouTube and streaming. I am still streaming on Twitch, and I am working on finding a way to do a dual stream. And what I'm going to do is take the Chaotic Falcon YouTube channel, rebrand it a little bit to Dark Avenger Streaming, and have the streams on Twitch also on YouTube. So this way, all my stuff is in one place, at least, in one brand. And I'm still streaming as well. I want to find a way to get all of this stuff harmonized again in one place, consistent. And that's what's been going on. And Dark Avenger's not over. Unlike in the last video where I mentioned that Brooklyn Boys ended up being shelved, Dark Avenger, the brand, is still going. If anything, it's expanded from Dark Avenger Media, formerly known as DarkAvengerC86, to now media, entertainment, gaming, and soon streaming, plus what the card on the side. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of things I want to do. It's very ambitious. I know it is. And I know a lot of people are like, you have a lot of ideas, but can you do all of that? Plus, with all of your other responsibilities, your family, my family being my number one priority, can you do all of that? And I don't know. And that's what this year is going to be all about. Testing my boundaries as far as how much I can do before it's too much. If it'll ever be too much. If I can get scheduling down, can I do all the things I want to do in a specific time frame maybe? Do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit everywhere, so that all of my channels get the content they deserve to have, obviously, and I can reach out and build an audience. That's the other goal. A is to be consistent, B is to build a audience, and then C is to keep that audience and to continue to entertain it and to continue to grow both as a channel and as a content creator. Channel being the viewers, content creator being myself. And I think I can, and I know I can. I've been doing YouTube for so many years. I've learned a lot, and I have a lot of friends who are actually pushing me. I had a lot of people in the past pushing me to quit YouTube because they felt it was not for me. And I'm sure, like I said, some of those people are still watching the videos to this day, waiting for me to either quit or just give up or just to see me fail. And I'm sorry that that's not happening for all of you that are watching. I get a little jolly out of proving you wrong. But I have a lot of friends now that are doing the opposite. I have a lot of friends who are like, do more videos, do this, do that. I can teach you this, I can teach you that. Because I have a lot of friends now that are streamers, that are content creators, and they're giving me, hints and their tricks and of the trade, so to speak, and their skills. They're teaching me things and showing me things, how to continue building up. And some of them, I am actually streaming with someone now. Her name's Alexi. She's really pushing me to stream more, and she's streaming with me, and we're kind of joint community. We're bringing both of our communities together through our streams. And it's been awesome. The past 2 years, I've learned a lot while being away from YouTube. And now I want to bring that back to YouTube, because YouTube and content creating and podcasting and streaming and gaming are passions of mine. And I want to share that with everybody. And I feel like the past half a decade has been like the lost years for me. I've still been around, unlike my brother who's completely disappeared. I've still been here, but I feel like I've not been here at the same time, and I want to be back here doing content and entertaining people, because the one thing that means the world to me is when somebody comes to me and says, you've made a difference. Making dumb videos on Brooklyn Boys, evolving into writing and gaming and all this other stuff and reaching out to viewers means something to me, because it makes a difference in somebody's life. And that's what my goal is, to make a difference in people's lives, to inspire. And I know that reviewing comic books isn't exactly inspiring people, but it is possibly inspiring somebody to do reviews or to get into media or get into something. So there is a bit of inspiration, even though I'm really just reviewing other people's work. And that's the other thing. It's like with the reviews and everything now, I'm still sitting here going, how do I fine tune it? Because the old way is done. That stopped when I ended my reviews at 500. The old way is not the current way anymore. So I can't do the old way. I've tried a newer way while still using the old way as a outline, and that didn't work. So now I'm really sitting here, and this is more for the media channel, because here I know what I'm doing, and this is I'm having a lot of fun doing everything on this channel, and there's a lot of other videos coming, a lot more vlogging and stuff. I've got new hardware, as I've shown, that I'm going to be using to do more videos like this, more unboxings, more skits and stuff like that, more shorts. And I plan to do all of that on this channel. That's set. But my question now is media, Dark Avenger Media. It's like I need something fresh and new, because the old ways, as much as I'm used to them, are not clicking as much anymore. So I'm trying to figure out what is going to click and get Dark Avenger Media moving again. Because now I did have a visitor who showed up for 3 months, and I had to take a 3-month vacation. And I knew that was coming, and still, even though I knew it was coming, I decided to try to start, and then while that person was visiting, I tried to continue it, and it didn't work out. Literally 2 weeks in, I ended up saying I'm taking a 3-month hiatus break. So I should have truly waited to do any reviews or anything until the new year hit, but I chose not to, and now, unfortunately, I'm kind of paying the price for it. But I am trying to get stuff started again, and I'm hoping that with 52, getting myself consistent with these videos will help me then reach back into other things I was doing and get consistent with those again. That's the goal, is consistency and building this year, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And I am going to be streaming. I do have a streaming channel, like I said, ChaoticFalcon86. I did start game streams on Twitch, because Twitch was a channel or a website that started coming up as I was doing videos on YouTube on Dark Avenger, and I said, okay, there's a live streaming service channel, let's try that channel too. And I started streaming on both Twitch and YouTube, and I'd like to think that the years that I've been away from YouTube, I've built up a good, strong, large friend group, and I'm hoping to bring that here, and then to help have that expand into everybody on YouTube. I've got an idea of what I want. What I want by this time next year is the goal right now, and I have an idea of what that is in my head. I'm not going to say it out loud, because I've done that before and we haven't gotten there. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut for once and hope for the best instead. But I do have a goal, and I am looking forward to where, like I said, this series specifically will be by episode 52, because by episode 52, stuff should be happening on here. Stuff should be happening on Dark Avenger Gaming. Dark Avenger Media should be back on its feet. And the community should be growing by that point. So I really am excited to see where the last episode of this series will be. And I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of progress between now and then. We are still in January. This is the last week of January as I'm filming this. So I'm hoping that as we move into the next and the coming months, things will evolve. But Dark Avenger definitely was a huge learning experience for me. And I made a lot of really good friends, a lot of good connections. I worked with a lot of comic companies also. I failed to mention that. I did actually get to work with companies like Zenoscope. We got a partner deal with Radical. I would sit down with my brother and we would do the reviews. I think Michael joined me starting episode 100. Before that, from episode 1 to 99, Michael was my cameraman. He would then jump in from episode 100 all the way through to 500. He would review his books, and I would review my books. My goal was always to have a panel. Unfortunately, that didn't happen with the comic reviews, but it did happen with Comic Frontline or Frontline Live, and that was cool. But in the end, Dark Avenger really, between Brooklyn Boys 13 and where I am now with Dark Avenger, some of the best years and best memories of my life happened in between those two channels, and continue to happen as I move forward as Dark Avenger still just working on here. I never returned to Comic Book Weekly. I just don't have the time to dedicate a definite, every single week on Tuesday night live show. here and doing stuff on Chaotic Falcon on Twitch. I'm definitely building that stuff back up now. And I'm looking forward to where I'm going to be going next. So with that, I've been talking a bunch. That's it for the two-part YouTube journey. The journey, however, has not ended. Like I said, Dark Avenger is continuing, and there's a lot of stuff to come. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to all the stuff that I want to introduce on the entire network's worth of channels. But till then, that's it for this video. As always, social medias are in the links below. If you'd like, feel free to comment below your journey, if you had a journey on YouTube, or your excitement for what's coming next on this channel, on media, what games you'd like to see on Dark Avenger Gaming, what you're looking forward to in the streams with Dark Avenger streams or Chaotic Falcon 86 over on Twitch. Feel free. Love to hear from all of you. Till next time, take care, and I'll see you all really soon in the next one.